Hello, and welcome back to another episode of The Sound Within. My name is Hannah Rose, and today I really wanted to touch on my obsessive-compulsive disorder. I tend to find myself sharing my story about my OCD a lot, but I don't think a lot of people understand what that means. Because typically when people think of obsessive-compulsive disorder, they think of someone who needs to keep everything clean and everything neat and organized, maybe alphabetized or color coordinated. And that can look like OCD. That's a form of it. But there's so many more layers to this disorder. And so that's why I wanted to come on here and shed some light on my personal experience. I just got diagnosed with obsessive-compulsive disorder about a year ago. And I've been struggling for quite some time, but I didn't quite know what it was. And it was a very confusing thing for me because it did progress gradually over time. And I also think that certain circumstances may have ignited a reaction out of myself. And so for me, my obsessive-compulsive disorder really manifests in a lot of different ways. My logical brain has a really hard time letting something go. And sometimes these obsessions can be positive, sometimes these obsessions can be negative. And when these obsessions are negative, which was most of my experience with obsessive-compulsive disorder, I was finding myself in a position where I did not trust myself. So I didn't trust others, but I also had a huge issue trusting myself and my own instincts. And so it came to a point where I needed that constant validation over every move that I made, every decision that I made. And it was painful, it was confusing, and it wasn't only painful for me, but it was painful for my loved ones as well, for the people that had to watch me experience this. And a lot of times it invoked panic within me because something would happen and I would immediately panic because my brain was trying to give me all of these different scenarios of what would happen or what could happen or what did happen. And so I was not grounded at all. And a lot of my experience has to do with food. And so I have a huge battle every day with myself. That battle has gotten easier over time, but I still battle with myself. But I have found a way to take the best option of whatever it is that I am stressing about and believing that the better option is true. That has helped me a lot because it allows me to quiet that loud voice in my head that is telling me that something is wrong, or that feeling in my stomach that something isn't quite right or something bad is going to happen. And that feeling, the way that I can explain it, is a feeling of dread. Sometimes I don't know what I'm dreading or what I'm even worrying about. But my obsessive-compulsive disorder is trying to latch on to something to obsess over, even when nothing is there to stress over. There's nothing to worry about, but my brain is so skewed that it is trying to control me. And it's trying to control me through fear and doubt and dread and anger and resentment. But if I really look within, I know that I hold all of the power. My obsessive-compulsive disorder is just that. It's a disorder. It is a chemical imbalance in my brain. And so if I can look at it that way and see that it is just an imbalance and it's not who I am, I can really come home to myself through that perspective and through that way of thinking. But for a long time, I wasn't able to do that. And sometimes I would share with people my experience. And they would say, oh, I have OCD too. I need all of my clothes color coordinated, or I can't stand when a book is crooked on the shelf. And yes, I'm a bit obsessive in that way. I like for things to be even. I like for things to be perfect. I don't want things to have flaws. But that's just really the cherry on top of the cake. Or the icing on top of the cake. Whatever saying really fits what I'm trying to deliver. Because there's so many different layers to obsessive-compulsive disorder. And with that being said, I just want to shed some light on what that can look like and how it can manifest in different ways. And I just want to let you know, if you are listening to this, that you are so much more powerful than your demons. And you are not alone. There are so many people in this world that struggle. It may not even be with OCD. It may be with other issues. But you always have a lot of space in your body to move that stuck energy. So when I realized that by discovering intentional breath, I was able to incorporate that into my daily life. Not only when I was feeling panicked and overwhelmed and like that voice was too loud, but also when things are great and I'm really happy and I'm really grateful. And so what that does is it allows me to tap into a meditative space that has no fears and has no doubts. We're just here and now. Here, now, breath. And so I believe my message was delivered. I don't really have much else to say about the issue. But I do thank you for listening to this episode. And just know you're not alone. And just because you feel like everyone else in the world is normal, and maybe you're thinking, why can't I be a normal person? There's no such thing as normal. You are unique. You are powerful. And whatever chemical imbalance you do have within your brain is simply just your superpower. Switch the perspective. This isn't something that is beating you down into the ground. This is something that is rising you up so that you can shine. You are a limitless being. So do not let circumstance control you and control your path. All it's trying to do is dim your light. But you're not going to allow that to happen because you hold so much power. Thank you for listening, and tune in to Eye Opener Society for more awesome and raw content. And another episode next week of The Sound Within.